Being candid, this right here is one of the prime reasons why I started this platform. I told y'all around the time I first started uploading, one of my main goals was to correct our cycle of media. I woke up this morning and I saw everyone in a frenzy. Everyone was getting upset and pretty much submitting to the idea that Dak Prescott probably wouldn't be on this team following this upcoming season. And I was like, where is all this coming from? Why is everyone all of a sudden just irritated and frustrated so much? And then I saw the source of it, which was an article written by a Dallas Cowboys reporter and staff writer for the Dallas Morning News that a lot of people, they have some trust in when he reports about the team because he is a pretty connected source. Here's the thing. There's a difference between reporting something and having commentary on a situation. There's a difference between giving new information and citing sources and actually having an article written based off of some evidence that you may have, and writing an article to push an agenda or to just push what you would want to happen for the Dallas Cowboys, or to just get a reaction because, you know, these guys are writers. These guys have jobs. If there's no actual legitimate news coming out surrounding the Dallas Cowboys, that doesn't mean that these dudes just pack up and go home and then they stop working. They still have to generate clicks and engagement for their website, for their newspaper, for their bosses. So guess what? They're just like content creators in the fact of even if there's no content to actually discuss and analyze, they're going to create content. And Gehlken is experienced. He understands how to get people going. He understands a hot ticket way to get engagement for any article that you write is to write something acting like you know something that someone else doesn't know about Dak Prescott's upcoming contract extension. That's exactly what just happened here. I'm about to actually go through the actual article that Gehlken wrote, and then I'm going to show you the article that he probably was trying to distract everyone from because this went undiscussed by anyone. Thanks to this cheese he set out for us to take, and a lot of y'all took it, bro. And look, I'm not trying to call anybody out or make this a big thing, or I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody. But what I am doing is saying, if you have an audience that trusts you, some people that are looking for you for information, or they're looking for you to be a reliable source of news surrounding the Dallas Cowboys, then you have to do your due diligence when it comes to being able to discern the difference between an actual report and a think piece. You have to do your due diligence between those two things because this right here is nothing more than a think piece. I'm going to go ahead and show you real quick. Let's break this down real quick, guys. So it says entire Dallas Cowboys coaching staff and QB Dak Prescott could face contract years in 2024. Please recognize how these articles are written. Recognize the verbiage and the language used to write these articles. Then it says Mike Zimmer, other new coaches signed one-year deals, joining Mike McCarthy in prove-it season. Let's stop there. Some of you guys made a big deal about this. Oh, all the coaches are lame ducks. Hey, do you realize that even if they gave every coach on the roster a 3-year deal, but Mike McCarthy was still in a prove-it season? Do y'all realize that whenever a new coach is hired for an NFL team or any organization for that matter, whether it be high school, college, it don't matter what level you're on. Anytime a new head coach comes to a team, more times than not, they're bringing their own staff with them, guys that they know how to work with, guys that know how to run the schemes and different things that they want them to do within that organization, within that team. So even if all these dudes sign 3-year deals, if Big Mike fails next season, he's gone, guess what? The next guy that came in was going to get rid of all these dudes anyways. And to be honest, the only thing that this shows is that the Cowboys didn't sign Mike Zimmer with the thought that he might become the head coach. Because then you might actually see a different structure behind the contract. And this is a point that the dude that's writing the article didn't even bring up, is if Mike Zimmer did sign more than a 1-year deal, knowing that the head coach is on a lame-year contract, that would essentially be positioning Mike Zimmer to take over as the head coach, because the Cowboys would be indicating that his success isn't necessarily tied to the overall team success or what Mike McCarthy is able to accomplish. If you see Mike Zimmer on 3-year deals and Jeff Zuniga and all the other guys on 3-year deals, then I would honestly be under the assumption that if Mike fails, Mike Zimmer's next. That would be the assumption. But clearly, all the coaches, which it should be, because honestly, giving them a 3-year deal, knowing that a new coach could be coming in, it's a figurehead deal. It's fluff. It wouldn't really mean anything, because even if they had 3-year deals, they would probably get fired. They would probably get replaced. You see what I'm saying? So this isn't news. This is something that all of us knew as soon as we heard Mike McCarthy was coming back without a contract extension on a 1-year deal. Every fan should have just assumed, okay, that means that all of our coaches are here for 1 more year. That's what that means, guys. That's what that means. So then we read the actual article. The Cowboys did not plan for a season in which their entire coaching staff and franchise quarterback will be in the final year of their contracts, but that scenario is a distinct possibility. No, they didn't. But guess what? Dak Prescott did. Dak Prescott planned to sign his contract in a way where he would be able to capitalize on the market again. The increased cap that just happened, that's the reason this contract was signed like this in the first place. Remember, the Cowboys originally wanted to sign a longer deal with Dak, guys. This isn't some grand plan that the Cowboys sneakily put together behind everyone's backs. Dak is the one that dictated the fact that this was just a 4-year contract extension the first time. Dak is the one that has all the control in this situation, because the Cowboys not re-signing Dak and essentially letting him play out this deal like this would essentially be putting them in the worst possible situation, not only for the future, but even for this season, because that would handicap them to the point where they couldn't make any other deals in the offseason, essentially, unless they went ahead and triggered the tricky language that Michael Gehlken wrote about in this particular article, right? But it says Mike McCarthy and his assistants, most of whom are at the NFL scouting combine this week, are not under contract beyond the 2024 season. That includes new defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer and other recent hires. They signed 1-year packs. Two people familiar with the situation told the Dallas Morning News. Duh! This isn't a real report. Duh! Details of those agreements were not previously reported. Team brass opted to keep new and returning coaches on a uniform track. The Cowboys have achieved 3 straight 12-win regular seasons, but managed a 1-3 playoff record in that span. On January 14th, the Green Bay Packers upset the second-seeded Cowboy in the first-round loss at AT&T Stadium. You see, this article right here, should already be letting you know, like, oh, he's not actually about to report anything for real. He's doing nothing but adding a lot of fluff. He's adding just a lot of extra language and a lot of extra information that honestly doesn't have anything to do with the headline of this article, just so he can meet a certain word count quota, guys. This right here is nothing more than, I have a deadline to meet at work. I need to submit an article, bro. These writers have deadlines. They have quotas to meet. They have a certain amount of articles they have to publish for the publication. These dudes have to do this sometimes, bro. You cannot put stock into articles that are not actually reports. This is not an actual report. Now it says short-term contracts are not necessarily a surprise following the 48-32 letdown. Again, duh, and he keeps trying to take fans back to that place of anger. Just think about this. He's setting you up with this article to take you back to a place of frustration and anger by constantly hammering the loss to the Packers, so that way when he presents the idea of, oh, maybe Dak Prescott won't be back, he's influenced your emotions, which is the point of any good article or video, is to change how you feel from how you originally felt going into the video. You come into the video and you're curious. Hopefully that curiosity is satiated, or you feel like you learned something. Either you got entertained, you got upset, you got mad. The point of any content is to change how the person digesting that content feels in some type of way. This is setting you up to feel that frustration. So down when he floats the idea of, oh, Dak may not be back, this is going to incite engagement. It's going to elicit a response from people that have a strong opinion about Dak Prescott, whether or not he should be back or not. That's the whole reason that this was developed the way it was, y'all. Still, there is some resulting discomfort and unhappiness within the building. One person close to the situation said the sentiment extends deeper than the coaches, adding that little sense of commitment is felt anywhere. This right here is very sketchy to me. For one, we know that this didn't come from the Joneses, because the Joneses haven't really been around for one, and they've made it very clear they're not commenting on Dak Prescott's contract extension. But this right here is sketchy because it's not actually a real source. It says one person close to the situation. It didn't say one team source, one person working with it didn't say any of that. It said one person close to the situation. That literally could mean another reporter. What situation is he referring to? The only thing he said prior to this part of the sentence was, still, there is some resulting discomfort and unhappiness within the building. Okay, one person close to the resulting discomfort and unhappiness, and that can literally be that could be CeeDee Lamb's mama. Now it says if Prescott finds himself playing 2024 in a contract year, again, another if. This is not a report. This is not a report. This is commentary. This is a think piece. This is somebody just simply pointing out a strange coinky-dink. Multiple Cowboys officials told the news that it would be entirely coincidental. It is not part of a larger design to have contracts for the coaches and starting quarterbacks scheduled to be up after the season, which it is coincidental because the Joneses aren't the ones that decided that Dak Prescott's contract was going to be up at this point. He's the one that wanted a shorter deal. The Cowboys were trying to sign him to a longer deal the first time around. I think they tried to get him for 5 or 6 years the first time around. He only wanted 4. Dak is the one that called this, not Jerry. They didn't set this up. One person close to the matter told the news on Wednesday evening the team has not ruled out Prescott being signed to an off-season extension. Exactly. So this whole article is dressed up as Dak probably won't get an extension, but then when you start talking about sources close to the team, all of these antecedents are about to say they all expect an extension to be done. It says high-ranking members of the organization have repeatedly expressed confidence in Prescott, who was voted last season's AP NFL MVP runner-up to the Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. Quote, "Our whole thing with Dak is him being a Cowboy," Executive Vice President Stephen Jones said just Tuesday at the Combine. That's all that's on our mind. So you think that Stephen Jones saying that Tuesday, and if you watched my video yesterday, him being super snappy about discussing these dudes' contract with any of the reporters that were there. So you think that him saying that and then being snappy about the contracts, the next day, not even 24 hours later, somehow Michael Gehlken is going to get information that's alluding to the fact that the Cowboys may not be wanting to bring him back. Stop it. Stop it. And then he says, an extension happening this year is far from a given. So he gives you all the cited sources, the actual team sources telling you, we're going to be working on an extension this offseason. Yes, we're going to try to get an extension done. He gives you all the team sources telling you that, and then say an extension happening this year is far from a given. Why, Michael Gehlken? Why? The Cowboys, in fact, could find some attraction in waiting until early next year, despite the inability to place a franchise tag on Prescott. The NFL's salary cap is not expected to jump next year as dramatically as it did recently when swelling from $224 in 2023 to $255. There's some thought a Prescott extension this year will be more cumbersome than on the 2025 cap than the 2025 deal. Why? Show your work. Don't just blanket say stuff like that. You have guys like me going to Sport Rack and all these other websites actually showing the contracts, breaking down why the contracts are hitting certain ways on certain years. Show your work. Show how this statement right here is factual. Show how it would work. That would make this article a lot better, because then you're actually giving the reader something tangible to sink their teeth into and be like, okay, this is something that they can do, and this is how they would do it and how it would look. And it says Prescott currently is scheduled to count $59.5 million against the 2024 salary cap. The club can reduce that figure without a long-term deal. This is something we already knew weeks ago. People were discussing this part weeks ago. This part right here is the whole basis of this article that Michael Gehlken wrote, that everyone is putting all this stock into and making it seem like that he's reporting that somebody in the Cowboys front office doesn't want to extend Dak. That's what everyone is getting the impression of based off of this article and because of the timing of when he actually released this article. Yet it's all based off of information we knew weeks ago. We knew that they can reduce the figure without a long-term deal. We knew that this would be done by converting most of his $29 million salary into a signing bonus, a move that could clear more than $18 million in space with an automatic conversion and more than $22 million if 2 voidable years are added to the contract's back end. The latter would require agreement from Prescott's agent, Todd France, which he has no reason to do. So again, that's even less leverage of doing a move like this, because you would clear more cap space signing Dak to an extension than the $18 million you would get by itself without the $22 million on the 2 voidable years. So it would actually serve them better to extend him. This still makes no sense. It says Cowboys are not scheduled to meet with France at the Combine, or for that matter, wide receiver CeeDee Lamb and hybrid defensive end Michael Parsons representatives. All 3 players are eligible for blockbuster extensions. 2 people familiar with the team's thinking said it considers those in-person meetings unnecessary to advance contract-related talks, citing the Cowboys' familiarity with those agents. It is possible Prescott spends next season in the contract year. Then he ends the article with this sentence that isn't backed by anything else from a factual standpoint in the article that he wrote. And now everyone's taking this article as some indication that Dak is going to be playing on a lame duck contract year. All I'm saying is, look, I get it. Michael Gehlken may have been solid with y'all in providing y'all information and his reports. He may be accurate with his reports. This is not a report. This is commentary. This is an article rehashing stuff that we have already known, filled with a bunch of fluff, y'all. And this article, truthfully, was probably trying to hide this article. Cowboys Jerry Jones will be required to take DNA test in paternity case. Judge rules. We're going to cover this in a separate video, but I'm just saying it's very interesting that he wrote that Dak Prescott article the same day that this article was released. This article was released 9:04 p.m. on February 28th. This one was released 9:34 p.m. on February 28th. Look at that. This article was released 9:04 p.m. on February 28th about Jerry Jones and his court case coming up. This article was released at 9:34 p.m. by Michael Gehlken, and of course, this is going to overshadow the Jerry news. Stop it. We still the same old damn Cowboys. Bruh.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boys? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Hey! I'm still them boys.